So what does the poor applicant do? There is nothing else which is mentioned. It is just mentioned these claims fall within scope of section 3D. Now it is for the applicant to speculate, to imagine what could be in the mind of the examiner, and then put forward some arguments and also try to show enhanced efficacy. So what the applicant did in this case was, the applicant submitted that this compound, 3R, 6R, the piperidinone compound, he submitted that this shows substantially reduced clearance in comparison with exemplary compound 209, which is described in the document. I'll tell you what is compound number 209 when we look at the structures, and then we could come to a conclusion whether these are same or these are different. And then the applicant said, which is considered as the closest prior art. So the applicant says this is considered as the closest prior art, and in comparison this, we have reduced clearance, and that is why it does not fall under section 3D. So what the applicant has done is that he has admitted that the closest prior art is the one which is to be taken as a standard for section 3D to apply. If you look at the structures on the screen, you'll see that the invention has a morpholino group, and on the prior art has a dimethylamine group. So it's not the same. There are other differences in the structure. So what we see is that in spite of these structural differences, a closest prior art compound has been taken as a prior art for the consideration of section 3D. And the applicant has fallen in a trap. He has admitted, okay, this is the closest prior art, and now we are giving reduced clearance. And the patent office says, I want efficacy. Sorry, reduced clearance is not acceptable. So what the patent office has come up with, the controller has come up with a decision, which says that claims fall within the scope of clause D of section 3, and the invention appears to be a mere derivative of compounds disclosed in cited documents, so and so. So what does it mean is that the patent office has thrown a bait, the applicant has taken it, and he has admitted that the closest prior art is what we have to look at for section 3D. And based on that, the patent office says, well, section 3D has not been satisfied, it seems to be only a derivative. So we come to a conclusion that the closest prior art compound is considered for section 3D objections. And now, we can't blame the patent office because the patent office says only mentioned one line, and that is claims so and so fall within section 3D. Maybe this was one case, but sometimes the applicants are smarter. There's one more case which I would like to quickly discuss, and this is about 630 Del NP 2008. This is again at the Delhi Patent Office. And in that case, the applicant had submitted that the compounds of the present application differ from the compound in the prior art in it has three differences, 1, 2, 3. So the applicant tries to tell the patent office, there are three differences, so this should not be considered as a known substance. It says there is no suggestion in D1, it's the prior art, or any other document that compound should be modified in such a way. Now that argument was supposed to be for the obviousness. But then again the applicant has been smart enough, and it has said, the claimed compound are structurally different compounds and not salts. So these are not salts, these are not esters, these are not polymorphs, or anything else which is in the definition of section 3D. Now, in spite of having submitted these arguments and stating very clearly that this is not to be considered as a prior art for section 3D, let us look at what the controller has come up with. The controller says in this case, and this was a hearing which was on the 12th of September 2014, which is just 3 months back. Controller has come up with a very interesting decision. It says the compound of the present invention, as claimed in claim 1 and 12, are structurally similar compounds to the compound of citation D1 with the difference of the amino sulfide group and NR3 group. So he has given the differences. He says, okay, this is different and this is different, but these are minor differences. And then he says, the compound of the present application are considered structurally similar compound to D1 and therefore falls under definition of other derivatives as mentioned in section 3D. So it's not even that this is a new form of a known compound. What is considered is that a structurally closed compound is supposed to be a derivative of something which is known in prior art. Now, this has also been accepted by the applicants, and this seems to be rampant at the Indian Patent Office, because there are many objections of such nature wherein structurally similar compounds have been mentioned as prior art for section 3D. So let us take from India, let us look at some other jurisdictions. Let us look at a very well-known case in the US for rabeprazole and lansoprazole. Now, if you look at this, and if you look at the earlier two decisions which were by the control of patents, we'll see that rabeprazole and lansoprazole are also structurally quite similar. So we see that the CH2 and CH2, okay, sorry. So we see that, which is shown by the arrow, there are some differences, but yet they are quite close. And what was decided in the US by the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit was that one of skill in the art may have considered lansoprazole as a candidate for a lead compound in the search for anti-ulcer compounds. However, the lansoprazole patent teaches at best to start with a fluorinated substituent which provides a special part to achieving lipophilicity. Now, that was the basis of having that fluorinated substituent in lansoprazole. So someone who would have wanted to start to have taken this as a lead compound should have retained that very feature. And so then the CFC mentioned the record shows no reason for a skilled artisan to begin with lansoprazole only to drop that very feature, the fluorinated substituent that gives the advantageous property. And based on that, it was supposed to be not obvious. Now that was in the US some years back. Let's try to take that situation into India. If we have lansoprazole and rabeprazole, considering the earlier two decisions of the Patent Office, would this not be considered as a relevant prior art for section 3D? And if this is to be considered a relevant prior art for section 3D, would the arguments which were provided in the US be considered in India for overcoming the objection of section 3D? So no, it won't be considered, because the Patent Office is going to tell us, fine, that's good for obviousness. We need your arguments regarding efficacy. We want you to show enhanced efficacy. And unless you tell us that, we are not going to grant your patent. So what happens is that the objection which is raised in section 3D is not based on novelty. It is based on structural similarity. It is based on obviousness. But the arguments which are being given for obviousness, Patent Office says, fine. We also have obviousness objection. This is sufficient for your obviousness, overcoming your obviousness objection, but not for section 3D. You have something more for section 3D. And that becomes a problem, because this is not a known substance. This is a new substance. And for a new substance, enhanced efficacy is not required, because section 3D would not apply to it at all. So the standard which is taken is for obviousness, not for novelty, but the submissions for overcoming obviousness are not considered. And that is the present situation which is happening at the Indian Patent Office. So let's try to analyze also what was decided in the Supreme Court decision, because it's not that section 3D does not apply at all. It definitely applies. If you look at the Supreme Court decision in Gleevec, we know that imatinib was the base compound. And then there was a salt. So it was a methane sulfonic salt, mesylate salt. And in that case, the Supreme Court rightly said that for the purpose of this law, salts, esters, and other derivatives are considered to be the same substance. So basically, we are not changing the basic moiety. We are just changing the salt. So, and there is no debate about it at all at this point of time. We are only talking about new chemical entities, new innovations, new compounds. And unfortunately, what should be applicable in the case of salts and esters has been elaborated and stretched further, and it is now being applied to new chemical entities. So, in India, if the very feature is dropped, which was supposed to be required in lansoprazole, so rabeprazole would not have been considered to be a new form of a known substance, that is lansoprazole, because it is neither a derivative nor a salt or anything of that sort. However, based on some of the decision of the patent office, it is likely that this could also have been taken up as an objection for section 3D. Now, maybe some might argue it out that, okay, it is inherently anticipated. Well, it's not clear, it's not clear what will be inherently anticipated. So then let's go to the guidelines of the patent, of the for pharmaceutical examination. And here it says that it's very clear, because it says it is to be checked from the prior art whether compound disclosed specifically in the prior art are of such structure so that they can unambiguously take away the novelty of the compound in the question. So if it is specifically disclosed, so if R and R1 and R2 have been mentioned specifically, only in that case the novelty is taken away, and that would be inherent anticipation. And then the guidelines also tell us, if the compound of the prior art disclosed specifically do not take away the novelty of the compound in question, then the generic disclosure in the prior art may still be cited for the purpose of inventive step. So even the guidelines are clear what is novelty and what is obviousness, what is should be considered for novelty and what should be considered for obviousness. And inherent anticipation would not apply for closed structures, similar structures. So they have also given one more example, and herein they say that if a fumarate salt is substituted with a mesylate salt, so if a salt is substituted, then that could lead to inherent anticipation. But if a functional group, if a group is substituted, then that should not be any anticipation at all. So this is what has been decided by the patent office, and also something which has been given in the guidelines. So the examiners have to follow the guidelines, one. Secondly, let us look at what are the standards which are being followed at the patent office and at some other forums, at the IPAB. So here we know that the standard for section 3D is not anticipation right now. It is structural similar substances, obviousness standards, and it may not fall within the scope of section 3D. However, it has been, the examiners have tried to extrapolate the section 3D to include those substances which are structurally similar. Let us look at quickly what is mentioned in what has been decided by the IPAB. Now I would like to draw your attention to two decisions of the IPAB. Both decisions have been on the same day, 27th of July 2013. And both of these, in both these cases, the parties were the same. One was Fresenius Kabi and the other was Glaxo. And one patent, which was 1171, was for the quinozoline ditosylate salt compounds. So the prior art talked about dihydrochloride salt of lapatinib, and the invention was for ditosylate salt of lapatinib. This was the only difference. And what the IPAB decided in that case is that the specifications claims to have identified new ditosylate salts. So basically it's a new form of lapatinib. And that's what the IPAB said. And D1 discloses bicyclic tetraatomic compound as well as hydrochloric salts thereof. But the advantages of dihydrochloric salt is that it absorbs so and so. So basically, there were some advantages, but the IPAB said, no, this is falling within section 3D. Unless you show enhanced efficacy, it's not going to be granted. So applying section 3D and the decision of the Supreme Court in the Novartis case, we find that this is not an invention. So these are the words in the decision. So this was rejected. So we know that the IPAB was very clear on when to apply section 3D standards. But let us look at another decision of the same day between the same parties and by the same board. This was regarding patent, the patent number 2210117, and this was again between Fresenius Kabi and Glaxo Group on the 27th day of July 2013. And the title was different. The title was bicyclic heteroatomic compound, the title of the patent. And for a discussion on what was in that case, the invention was what is in the upper part of the slide, and there were different prior arts. Exhibit 2 had a prior art, which is at the two structures at the bottom, And here we see that the structures are not the same. They may be similar, and I'm not going to discuss about similarity. They may be similar, but they are not the same. Similarly, there was another exhibit which was provided, and that was exhibit 1. And in that exhibit 1, the core structure was pyrimidine, and here in this invention it was quinazoline. Now, interestingly, let us evaluate what was the discussion at the IPB and what was the decision. And the IPB here says, it is true that it is the patentee who must prove the enhanced therapeutic efficacy of his invention, but in a revocation, the applicant must plead and prove that it is hit by section 3D. These are not my words, these are the words which you'll find in the decision. So the applicant must plead and prove that it is hit by section 3D. And then it goes on to say, then the respondent, once the applicant pleads and proves, then the respondent will counter it either by proving that it is not a derivative of a known substance, or by proving that though it is only a new form of a known substance, there is enhancement of efficacy. In the present case, that is in that particular case, the IPB says, there are no such pleadings. It is not enough to plead that only because exhibit 1 and 2 are admitted prior arts, this is only a new form of those compounds. This is vague. The IPB says